In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at and building the NeoJamma Supergun kit used for consolizing an MV1C Neo Geo board in the Alliance 3 acrylic case. I will also be doing a full board recap, installing a new battery holder, building the consolize system, and installing UniBIOS.
The future is now SNK.
Opening my goodie box from Santa. Oh yeah. Quick shout out to Tin Man on eBay. If you're looking for a MV1C board or anything MVS related, check him out. He's got quite a bit of Neo Geo related items. He's located in Mexico, but he does ship to the US. And all around great guy. Check him out. And a shout out to NeoJamma on eBay and Twitter. He offers these super guns and various other Neo Geo related items. Definitely check him out. I don't believe he has this Lion's Case super gun for sale yet on eBay, but if you contact him through Twitter, maybe he can work something out with you. Here's a look at that Lions 3 MV1C case. Here we got that Supergun kit by NeoJamma designed for that Lions 3 acrylic case. I went ahead and had NeoJamma throw in that NeoBIOS master and a UniBIOS 4.0 and a battery holder. He's got a lot of extra goodies for a small fee you can add on to your kit. Here's a look at that PCB. Very well thought out. All the components are labeled. You know which side they go on, which orientation. Very nice. Even the resistors are labeled for dum-dums like me who don't have the resistance color banding values memorized. I'm just gonna go ahead and get these resistors and electrolytic capacitors populated on the board, get them soldered in, and then we'll move on. This group of capacitors here all have the same capacitance value and voltage. Easy peasy, nothing to worry about here. Now we're just gonna solder all these components in, snip the legs, and then we will continue. These black PCB boards really pick up and show that flux on camera. But don't worry, we're gonna come back and clean all that off with some isopropyl alcohol later. Before I get too far, I wanna cover the power supply we're gonna be using. It's a 5 volt, 3 amp, 15 watt Meanwell power supply unit with a center pin positive. If we look in this connector, we can see that center pin attaches to the left leg or the short leg. And I felt stupid taking this extra step to identify which leg was center pin positive when I flipped the board over and realized it's already labeled for you. This kit really is user friendly for dummies like me. Next, we're just gonna install these red, blue, and green channel potentiometers. They just pop in. Legs are kind of shaped like claws, so hold into the PCB board well while you solder them in. Give them a little push, they'll snap in there. Oh yeah. Now we're gonna slap on our 3.5mm audio out. Don't worry, it can only go in one way. Holding up from the back, we're gonna go ahead and tack a leg down. Then we can come back, throw some solder in it. And when I throw some more on this last leg, it looks like I bridged the two, but don't you worry, that's just flux goobers. Now we got our Genesis Model 2 audio video output port. Get her tacked in. She's wobbly. Up. Yeah, better use something to prop that board up while you solder it in. Makes it a little easier if it ain't teeter-tottering everywhere. Now we're gonna fill those two reinforcements up. It's a pretty big void, so I like to force a little solder in there just to bridge the gap. Let it cool for a second, then come back and lay a little more in there to make a nice little fillet. Fillet, blob, whatever you want to call it. Here's a close-up look-see of our shoddy soldering skills. It's getting there. Time to slap that SCART connector in there. Got it tacked in. Go ahead and solder up the rest of these pins. These AV connectors will carry your signals from the front PCB to the back PCB. I installed both of them with that channel opening facing the inside of the board. Now we're installing the power and ground terminal block. Make sure that chamfered side faces the inside of the board and the terminals along the edge of the board. Now we will install the pins for the audio input. You should probably trim these beforehand, but hey, hindsight is 20/20. And that's going to be it for the rear panel PCB. We'll get this cleaned up later. We're going to go ahead and move on to the front. Here's the third and final resistor that we have to install. Then we can drop the LED in. Now we can install the on-off slide switch. Go ahead and get it tacked in. Drop some big fillets on it. All right, time for that JAMMA interface connector. Get it lined up. You can trim the pins now or later. I chose to do it later. Just getting the corners tacked in. Make sure that this connector is on square and straight before you go soldering all these pins in. You'll see me jump around back and forth, trying not to concentrate too much heat in one area at one time. Also, you might have to pre-fill that gap a little bit, let it cool down, come back, throw another fillet on top of it. These vias like to soak up your solder. Capillary action. Went ahead and trimmed the pins, and there was a lot of leftover flux that I chose to go ahead and clean off at this point. Now, I had the choice of the traditional metal housed DB15 connectors or these ABS black plastic connectors, and I chose to go with these black ones because they would just look better and fit the overall look of the console. But the copper pins, I don't know, they're a different composition almost or something, but I've had problems soldering these in the past. That's why I gave them a dunk in that paste flux. But I ended up soldering pretty well. I think these types of pins oxidize quicker due to the composition of that copper or whatever they're made out of, but they can be hard to solder sometimes. These ones weren't too bad. We pop that test button in, we're gonna solder it. Here's that other AV connector port. We're gonna go ahead and solder it in. Gonna leave that channel facing the inside of the board like we did on the last one. And our second power ground distribution block with the terminals facing the edge of the board. And that is it. We are done soldering the components on this Supergun kit. We're gonna go ahead and scrub everything off, give it a good rub down with some 92% isopropyl alcohol. And here's a look at the final product. Not too shabby. This is a very user-friendly kit with some basic soldering experience. Not bad at all. Don't be scared. Just do it. Now, before I jump ahead and recap this board, I need to test it. So I've temporarily installed everything. I just got it propped up by the cart. Flip the switch. Let it run through its system check. Give this video one last, oh yeah. Looks good. Visuals are nice and crisp. So that's gonna wrap it up for this video. The next one, we're gonna recap the entire board. We're gonna solder on the new battery holder. Give the board a good scrub down. We will pull audio from the board for this kit. Then in the third and final video, we will build the console out and do some better testing and some capturing. So thanks again to Tin Man, NeoJamma. That's gonna wrap this one up. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Exciting Neo Geo